So hi everyone, welcome to the 2021 PEO York Chapter Engineering Entrance Scholarships Info Session. Thank you all for joining me on this lovely August evening. So just before we get started, please just a reminder to mute your mics and turn off your webcam during the presentation, and you can feel free to turn them back on during the Q&A session. And note that the webinar will be recorded so we could put it on YouTube as a record for those who are not able to attend this evening. Before we all start, let's start with an land acknowledgement. So I would like to begin by acknowledging the indigenous people of all the lands that we are on today. While we are meeting today on a virtual platform, I would like to take a moment to acknowledge the importance of the lands, which we each call home. We do this to reaffirm our responsibility and commitment in improving relationships between nations and improving our own understanding of local indigenous people and their cultures. In York region, we acknowledge the ancestral and unceded territory of all the Haudenosaunee, Anishinaabe, Mississauga of the Credit First Nation, and Mississauga people that call this home. Please join me in a moment of reflection to acknowledge the harms and mistakes of the past and to consider how we are and can each, in our own way, try to move forward in a spirit of reconciliation and collaboration. All right, the agenda for this evening is we're going to have a brief introduction regarding the scholarship provided by me, and then we have our keynote, which is very special this year, by our 2020 scholarship winner, Tharaka Sivasabesan. And we're going to, after that, we'll have a detailed overview of the scholarship application process. And lastly, we have a Q&A at the very end. And I forgot to introduce myself in the beginning. My name is Sharon Chen. I'm the education director for this year for York Chapter. And as you know, Education Committee oversees the scholarship program every single year. So since there may be parents or kids that may not necessarily know what PEO York Chapter does, I'm just going to provide an overview. So PEO York Chapter is the local presence for Professional Engineers Ontario, and we, as a chapter alone, represent over 10,000 EITs and professional engineers. That is a lot, right? And the chapter aims to, has several aims, which are listed here, but two of them very much pertains to future engineers and engineering students. And that includes like working to identify the value of the profession for future license holders and promote and enhance the understanding of the society of the self-regulated engineering profession and the importance of licensure. As a future engineering student, whoever is applying for the scholarship will fall will fall into the category of a future license holder, because you need to hold a license in order to practice professional engineering in Ontario. Also, the application reviewers will be part of the professional engineers and EITs within York Chapter. So it is very important for whoever is writing the application to understand who your audience will be when you're writing these applications and the points that you're trying to hit, which I will touch on the other sides. About the scholarship, this year we are fortunate enough to have 3 scholarships of $1,500 each. We want to give a big thank you to Advanced Microsystems for their generous donation of $1,000 to the scholarship program. And lastly, as I mentioned before, application reviewers are professional engineers and EITs of various disciplines and backgrounds. So that we're talking diversity across what they study. You have geological engineering, environmental engineering, mechanical, electrical, but you also have professional engineers and EITs of various ages. EIT stands for engineering training or engineering intern. There's also, we're trying our best to also get a diversity of both ages as well as like ethnicity and gender, of course. So that it's very representative, and then the scores are aggregate of all of our reviewers for sure. To be eligible to apply for this scholarship, you must be a graduate student from honors from a secondary school located in the York region. So that can be the Catholic school board, the private school board. As long as the school itself is located in the York region, you're okay. And the second point is the person who is applying for this scholarship, the applicant must be enrolled in a CEAB accredited engineering program at a Canadian university for this coming school year, so 2021 to 2022. So the applicant must be going to their first year in the 2021, basically the September, at a Canadian university with an accredited engineering program. So engineering only. We've got questions before. No, it's not. No computer science, just CEAB accredited engineering program. Without further ado, I would like to introduce Tharaka Sivasabesan. She is the 2020 scholarship recipient of the PEO York Chapter Engineering Entrance Scholarship. She's currently studying mechanical engineering at the University of Toronto, and she has prepared a wonderful keynote for you all tonight. It will provide her some insights on, the impact the scholarship has on her, and also some tips. So without further ado, I want to give the floor over to Tharaka.
Yes, I will just quickly share my screen. This will be quick. So, hello, my name is Tharaka. So a quick introduction for myself. Sharon already has introduced most of it, but I'll quickly run over it again. So a quick introduction. I am currently attending the University of Toronto for mechanical engineering, and I am heading into my second year. Before I actually entered university, I attended Middlefield Collegiate Institute, which is in Markham. So I guess I can just quickly go over what it's like applying for the scholarship. For me, when I applied, it was quite straightforward. There's nothing hidden, and everything was on a Google form, which can help a lot. So everything is done on a Google form, and what happened was that there were some things that I had to answer, for example, my name and everything, and then there will be asking some grades for what you achieved in grade 12, and finally, a few paragraphs that you need to write about your experiences within the past 4 years, whether it's extracurriculars or community involvement, etc. So those are basically what you need to do for the Google Forms. So advice that I have throughout the application process is that honesty is key. So don't make up anything that you're going to write on the application. So because again, you're applying to an association that is based off of integrity and ethics. So it's really important that you stay honest and write down answers that are like based on purely on all your experiences. So some of the questions that I received last year were, for example, what are my extracurricular involvements, what I did within the community, and why I wanted to be an engineer. Another advice that I have while applying for this is that you need to explain everything in detail. So the judges for this application process want to know the whole picture of who you are. So giving those small details will really push your application forward. So for me, I use a lot of numerals. For example, let's say you have applied for, or let's say you have started a fundraiser. How much money did you raise? Or if you volunteered, how many hours did you volunteer? So adding those little details can be really crucial and can help you a lot within this process. I also know that because you're in grade 12 and everything happened during COVID, I know it's been a really difficult year. Just write down experiences that you have done before COVID. But if you have done some cool stuff during COVID, like taking advantage of the online platform to start fundraisers or any other community involvement, also write that down. Again, like the judges want to see what you can bring to the table and how have you been involved? So that is my experiences with the application process. I can quickly move on to how the scholarship actually helped me. Again, the obvious one, scholarship helps you with finances. During my first year, I wasn't stressed at all with my finances because I had OSAP, and then I also had scholarships that aided me throughout the first year. I also didn't have to worry much about renting because I was home all the time. So finances, I had less to worry about. I think the surprising part that I realized that how the scholarship helped me was through the networks and supports I have received, because I had so many people who would help me and guide me throughout the past year. So, for example, like Sharon would tell me advice and tips. Actually, we were on a call a few weeks ago, and she would give me a lot of advice and tips on how I can push my career forward, which helps a lot. And then also, like, there was another person, my sponsor, who was Matthew. He is super nice. He said that I can approach him anytime I needed help with regards to my career. So it was really, really, really helpful for me personally. So for example, I guess I could do a personal experience as well. So as you can see in the picture below, you can see a bunch of plants. You're probably wondering, why are these plants here? So what happened was that I was really, really worried that during the summer that I didn't have any engineering skills or any experience because of COVID. So I didn't really have any clubs that I joined. So I told him my struggles, and he was like, hey, I can give you a project that you can work on, which really helped me throughout the summer. And I actually feel a little bit more confident of what to expect in the industry. The project that I was given was the plants. So there was a lot of plants in his office, and he's like, okay, you need to create a robot that would water all these plants. So I learned a lot of technical elements, such as CAD modeling. So the scholarship has helped me gain connections that would help me further my career as well. So that is one way. And then to briefly wrap up this little keynote, my experience as a first year. So there's two sides of it. My experience during first year, there's a lot of pros and cons, obviously, because of COVID. Let's start with the pros. The pros were that it was like the online experience was very interesting because you can do everything at your own pace, at your own time. So if possibly we are still online, the good thing about online school is that you get to do everything at your own pace. I think the con part was like, as you probably experienced in grade 12, was the social isolation, which I didn't really enjoy, but it was overall a good year and good experience. And some advice for you future engineers going to first year is that study groups are very important, um, because studying alone itself is really difficult because of the pace that you're going at and the amount of content that you have to absorb. So you can help each other out and fill out the gaps that are missing. So that is one tip I have for the future engineering students going into first year. So that is a wrap for my presentation. If there's any questions, you can also ask me at the end of the meeting. Yeah.
Thanks so much, Tharaka. That was wonderful. So just to also add on to what Tharaka mentioned, in addition to there's beyond the obvious financial benefit of like receiving a scholarship, the other benefit is also really like the network, both at the York chapter, and also we're looking to build a strong network of past scholarship recipients too. So and this goes back all the way back to a long time ago, like at least 12 years of scholarship recipients. So it is quite a good scholarship to be applying for. Just jumping off the point Tharaka made about the application form, it is still a Google form, but the new component that we have introduced this year is the video, the 4-minute video. If I just look here, this is the actual application form itself, including various components, which I will explain later. So the Google form itself is the only deliverable, but you need to put the link of your application video inside the form itself. So it's an essay plus a 4-minute video, which we will ask the applicant to upload onto private YouTube and provide the link here. I will explain more on that later. So the full package itself is the Google form containing the video link. The Google form will contain all of the information, including the essay and the video link. The application video should be 4 minutes and 0 seconds or less, and any video longer than 4 minutes and 5 seconds on the YouTube, like the countdown on the bottom, if it says it's over 4 minutes and 5 seconds, we will be saying that's way too long. The application will be disqualified, or we will contact you with that and say, hey, you need to submit a shorter video. Google Forms submitted with no video link will be considered incomplete and also disqualified. So a rundown of the different sections of the application form is actually not that long, but we've broken it into different sections. So the first is the personal contact and academic information, very basic. We need that to contact the applicant should they be successful or be finalists. Then we need 2 references. So that's one teacher and one reference from the organization or business where the applicant has worked or made volunteer contributions. The 3rd and 4th sections are the most important sections of this application form. That is kind of the meat of the meat of the application form. So it's the essay section and the video section, which I will explain further on in the next couple of slides. And lastly, there are survey questions and additional information, which is like, it's just survey questions, which means like it doesn't factor into whether you get the application or not. Big tip though, do look through that Google form. You don't need to submit it, just look through it, look through the various sections so you have a good idea of what the sense of the structure is and how to best tackle it. And the order, because the order that you see it in is likely the order that the reviewer is going to look at it. So again, emphasizing on this slide, the essay portion is the most important part of the application form. Most important. The applicants will be evaluated based on those 2 sections. So the first question that comes up in the essay portion of 3 questions is the extracurricular activities involvement question. The question is written here on the slide. It says, what are the skills that you acquire during extracurricular activities? Please describe your extracurricular activities and hobbies such as athletics, counseling, clubs, etc. Chose why you chose to be involved in these activities. And then the second part of the question was, describe how your participation in these activities helped you prepare for a career as a professional engineer. Note, being a professional engineer isn't just about being good at math or science, although that needs to be the technical skills needs to be there. However, there's a lot more to being a professional engineer, and that's exactly what we're looking for in terms of an answer for this question. How do you demonstrate the different skills like teamwork and ethics, collaboration, the soft skills as well as the skills, and giving back to the community? What's the impact of the activities you're doing? How does that build your skills up to become a future professional engineer? The next question is very related, but for community involvement. asking the question is up on the screen here, asking how did the applicant help the community? Of course, there's a mandatory 40 hours of volunteering that each high school student must do. But how did you go beyond that? And what is the impact and the contribution that you made to your community? Summarize the community service and describe its impact and how it relates to your choice of profession, which in this case is assumed to be engineering. Again, keep in mind what it means to be a professional engineer is not just math and science, because in the past, we've had a lot of recipients who kind of really focused on that, but what we're looking for is really the ethics, the values of the profession in terms of safeguarding environment and the public, safeguarding safety, and holding high standards and high ethics. Those we really encourage the applicants to do some research, even if it means just going to the PEO or Engineers Canada website to look at the core values of the organization and what it means to be a professional engineer beyond just the math and science. Lastly, there is the letter of intent essay question, which is, why do you want to be an engineer? Please explain in an essay format why you wish to be an engineer, including what you think the values of the engineering profession to the public and what your responsibilities will be as a professional engineer. As I emphasized many times before, being a professional engineer isn't just being good at math and science. There's a lot more to that, and that's what we're really looking for in the answers to these questions. Again, as I mentioned before, applicants are encouraged to do additional research on PEO or Engineers Canada so that they have a good understanding of why you want to be an engineer and demonstrate an understanding of some of the guiding questions down here, which we've provided to help applicants along in formulating their responses. So what are the responsibilities of a professional engineer to the public or society? How will you work towards this responsibility? What are the core values of the engineering profession? And how do you demonstrate these core values? And these can be very easily searched up through a quick Google search on the PEO website. So we're looking for the applicants to put in effort in demonstrating that they know what it fully means to be a professional engineer and how they can apply their skills to do that. As mentioned before, there is a video submission. So to clarify about the video, there are 2 rounds of judging. So the first round of judging, all the applications will have their personal information removed and just have the essay portion. And then that round, every single reviewer will evaluate all of the applications based on that. So everyone is basically numbered 1 to however many, and then evaluate it that way. This is to eliminate bias, of course. Only in round 2, after which this aggregate reviewers committee selects the top 10, then the video is watched for those top 10 applicants. Through that, again, the same panel will pick the 3 winners, and that will be announced. And I will elaborate on the process afterwards in a future slide. As a general guideline, the video should include a brief introduction of yourself, of the applicant, which is name, school, which engineering program you'll be going to, demonstrate you have served the community, demonstrate your understanding what it means to be a professional engineer, and showcase how you will use and build on your existing skills to work towards being a professional engineer and serve the society. It's basically like your application, but in an elevator pitch in video form. It's up to 4 minutes and 0 seconds. It's like the movie trailer of your application. Give us a highlight, and how you structure the video is up to you, but as long as you hit those points. And again, the time limit is 4 minutes and 0 seconds, but knowing YouTube, sometimes it adds 4 seconds when you upload a video. So if the length is under 4 minutes and 5 seconds, we'll take it. If it's over, then we'll ask you to resubmit, or it'll be counted as a disqualification. Lastly, the scholarship overview. the application form submission is this Friday on the 20th, 11:59 p.m. Round 1 judging is planned to be right now to September. The top 10, so that's on the essay only. Again, all the personal information is removed to remove any bias. Then it goes to the top 10 will go to round 2, and that's where the videos will be watched. And then the selection will be happening in October 2021. We're hoping to announce the recipients and notify them by November 2021, whether it could be earlier, but we will aim to get it in November 2021. Tips: keep your audience in mind. The applicants, you should communicate. One of the important skills of being an engineer is also to communicate well. Make sure the form is easy to read for the judges, whether that means spelling, writing, clarity. And remember, the judges will be EITs and professional engineers. They will not know the only thing that they have to go off of with regards to the experience is your application form. So you need to really highlight the impact, as Tharaka said, highlight the impact of your experiences and your skills. So whether it's adding metrics or painting a clearer picture, that's the second point. Write your application form so you clearly illustrate why you are deserving of the scholarship. Clearly explain the connection between your work and what it means to be a professional engineer. That means values and ethics, right? Ultimately, if you think about the scholarship is to help future engineers, help raise up future engineers. So you need to demonstrate why you will make a good future professional engineer, and that you understand the profession and its values. And lastly, utilize the amount of works that you have within the application, adequately describe your experiences and their impact. Try to avoid repetition if you can. Like if you're going to say there are 3 questions, right? The community, the extracurricular, and the intent. You may be talking about if you're talking about your same experience another time, try to put another angle on it. Don't copy and paste exactly the same thing in exactly the same angle, but make sure you fully utilize your entire application to show a diversity of the skills and your achievements, and lastly, the connection and your understanding of the profession itself and what it means to be a future professional engineer, which is a legally protected term.